Hello, how are you?
I'm very well, Greg. How are you doing?
Not bad, not bad. I've been boring everybody on my Zoom calls talking about my tan. Um, it's the only time I get to go outside, as we all do, and it's
Well, I
sunny, and I'm
know.
like, hey, I'm going to work on my tan as much as I can. What about you?
I've got a deeper shade of freckle, I'd say. A
Good.
more interesting shade of pale. But I know we're so lucky to have this glorious weather and to get out in it and just reel yourself back a bit from the normal day-to-day
Yeah,
madness is
yeah.
a great opportunity.
So before we crack on, Caroline, just a quick 30 seconds just for the folks at home who can find out a little bit about you, who you are, and what you do.
Okay, well, my name is Caroline Meikle and I'm the Business Development Director for a company called Pitman Training. Pitman Training have been around for 180 years, a very well-established company. I feel as if I've been around for 180 years, some mornings.
That doesn't really bode well for what you think about your work.
Not in terms of its aging. It's one of these fantastic jobs that keeps evolving. I love learning. I love meeting new people and discovering what makes them passionate about things. So for me, this is like my home. This is my life, my Pitman family. You spend so much time at work rather than the people that you really love, your own family. If you don't love the people you work with, you really should move on. And I've been lucky enough to learn that in my life. So I feel very blessed. Part of
So,
that family.
so Pitman training, I mean, training could be any number of things. Is there a particular focus for it?
Well, for me, I worked for Pitman 10 years ago and had a break for 2 years.
Hmm.
And for the 8 years I worked for them before, I was in their head of corporate. So I looked after all the personal development, IT stuff for our corporate clients. And I absolutely loved that. That was such good fun. But I've actually got to the level that it's almost plateaued about. There wasn't any room for me to go.
Right.
And the owners at the time were looking to sell the business. So I moved in to the health and safety for 2 years, which I did enjoy. There's a difference between compliance training, where it's almost like a grudge purchase because people need to have a first aid trainer, they need to have a mental health trainer. If you do something like Pitman, which is more vocational, it's about changing people's lives, transforming their careers. That to me is really exciting, and I love that. I love to see somebody coming in who thinks they can't do something, and you teach them a new skill, whether it's a Microsoft skill or how to be assertive or how to get what you want, and see them doing it. It's just no greater joy for me. It's just a lovely, lovely job.
So it's really more of a focus on self-development, yeah?
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. And that self-development of an employee or the individual that might have been made redundant. And in this situation, we're finding that there's a lot of people being furloughed. I guess the double-edged sword they've got is they've not got as much money as they usually have because they're on furlough, but they know they don't want to be in the same position when they go back. So it's about investing in themselves just now, so that when they're come out of furlough, they can either switch careers or go and advance and do something else.
This is something that I've been talking a lot about with various different business people over the past few weeks. That it's such an unknown territory. Nobody has ever been in this kind of situation before, so there's a lot of guesswork with what's actually happening just now and what's going to happen, and we're kind of looking for signposts and directions on how to go. And I think it's forcing people to have a good hard look at their careers and their lives and go, you know what, is this really what I want to be doing?
Yeah, is this you living your best life? I definitely try to always say I've got 3 children, and that's definitely a mantra I keep saying. So they're young, they should be doing everything they want to do. They're very creative children. My eldest is an actress, my middle child is in musical theatre, my youngest child is an illustrator. That's the painting behind me.
Wow, wow,
I don't know if you
okay.
can see it, but she did that. So my life is full of going to bizarre events sometimes that really either blow your mind or kill you because you think, oh, I didn't understand that at all. What went wrong?
So are you artistic in any way then?
No, I think I love dancing, as you know, Greg.
Yes.
I'm a very enthusiastic
Hmm.
amateur. And my mum was a dancer and my dad was a singer. So I can't
Right.
sing a note, but when I've had a drink, I do try, I'll admit that. very badly. I can clear a room in seconds with my voice.
I've been known to do that on a professional basis.
I've heard you. I think you're actually very good.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
You're very good. You're very good on the sound deck as well.
Thank you. Yes, that was the easiest gig ever.
Oh, weren't there people just so up to party?
Yeah.
And that's what's great about this. They talk about having a collective energy.
Yes.
And I think that's what my real role in business development in Pitman is to get all that energy and all that goodness, all that good vibe, so that when people walk into us, they know we are a business, but we're a business that enables people to do better things with their lives. I truly believe that.
I think that's the thing for me as well. Anytime I'm doing any kind of business-related project, if it's involving music and that sort of thing, whether it's a team building or leadership program, then it's always that thing that it's balancing up. That we want this to be fun, and people assume because of the nature of the way I normally am and how it is, it's going to be a bit daft and a bit silly. But balancing that up with but you're going to learn this. Either about yourself or about the business, and it's going to help reveal something in a different way. I always think those are the most interesting kind of projects to do.
Absolutely. One that challenges you as well.
Yeah.
Because you might discover something you don't really like about yourself, or you don't really like about where you are.
I don't know about
that. Yeah, perish that thought. We love ourselves.
It's always about finding different...
Yeah, having a good ego is definitely healthy.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So it's always just different creative ways, though, to help reveal, people's hidden talents, I think. So how did you get involved in, the training world in the first place? Was that something, or have you always been a people-focused person? A people-focused person. That's really hard to say.
A people-focused person.
Yes.
Yes, I have. Yeah. No, initially as a wee girl, I started off in travel. So I was a cabin crew person for British Airways for a while. Then I ran a travel company called Going Places. And then I went into Thomas Cook Direct to run their big call centre out in Larver. And then 9/11 happened. So I had this fantastic career in travel.
Mm-hmm.
And I was worried at the time that I was going to lose my job. And my husband at that point worked for British Airways.
Right. Okay.
But what actually happened was I got promoted within my job because my boss went as part of redundancy, and my husband lost his job, and that was kind of a pivotal point in our marriage because redundancy is a hard thing to cope with.
Yeah.
I suddenly felt very vulnerable as both being in an industry like travel, which is so interesting just now because obviously travel's decimated by what's happened, that I thought I better change my career and do something else to protect our family, I guess. So I went to join can't get better than a Quick Fit Fitter.
Mm-hmm.
As their
very good.
As their ops director, and I did that for about a year and a half. Absolutely loved that. Then a venture capitalist company came and bought us over. Went to join Yellow Pages as their regional manager for their big operation in Bothwell Street with about 600 staff. And I then had a terrible, terrible accident, which meant I had about 3 months off work. And that really gave me, during that time, because I couldn't physically do anything, I did a life coaching course. And I discovered at that point, I would have been by then maybe early 40s perhaps. Mm-hmm. I discovered that the only thing that was good in my life, I didn't have a wheel of life, I had a spoke. And the only thing that was good was my earnings. I felt I was a rotten mum, a rotten wife, a rotten pal, because I just had nothing but work, and I had these 3 young children as well. So it really made me readjust what I needed to do. So I went down to 4 days a week, and I fell into training. So I became the trainer for Yellow Pages, and I loved that, absolutely loved that, because I love people. I love watching people get it and watch people learn and watch people change. And then then what happens? I think I went on holiday and started thinking about what else would I like to do? What other kind of companies? Mm-hmm. Yellow Pages was very worked in silos. It was like sales, technology. Yeah. I was dealing with the managers as well, so I was looking at their supervisory leadership skills. I loved doing that bit. So I thought, well, what company could I do that more with? And Pitman Training came up, and I fell into that. absolutely loved it, as I said, and did that for 8 years.
Hmm.
Probably wouldn't have left if, things hadn't changed. And it's so nice to be back working where my heart belongs,
Yeah, yeah.
which is, you sit, I can now, sit in a plane and go, I can't wait to get back to work. Whereas you listen to everybody in the plane when you go home, they're always going
Normally
about, oh
bitching and
no,
moaning about having
yeah,
to go to work. Yeah,
yeah, I've
yeah.
got, whereas I was like, oh, I can't wait to see everybody. And,
Hmm.
'cause it's just such a lovely team of people to work with as well. That
Yeah.
sounds all nice and cuddly, but it
Yeah,
is.
but it makes all the difference. But
Mm,
circling back to what you said you had this terrible accident, but it
yeah,
kind of that's something I find that talking to so many different people, there's some event, something that happens along the way that precipitates some great
yeah.
change, and you kind of go, okay, this happened, and then it causes you to take stock or just look at things in a completely different way. Um, and do you imagine that your life wouldn't have been, you wouldn't have made that shift if that hadn't
Yeah,
happened?
I think because my car accident happened after it was the October school week. I had just come back from holiday, had a great holiday with kids, and I was on the motorway and I took what I didn't know this happens. It's called a paraplegic migraine. So you can't see where the side of anything is. You don't know where your direction's gone. And I couldn't see properly. So I careered off the road, ended up right down the field, which was so lucky that I didn't go on the motorway that day to go the back
Hmm.
roads of the motorway. And lying in hospital, it made me think, oh, what was going on in my mind? What caused it? Because the only thing can cause that is drinking copious amounts of red wine, which actually I don't drink.
Hmm.
Really strong cheese or stress. So clearly I was stressed. And when they did this little questionnaire with me, I was working something like 70 hours a week.
Right.
Given at that time, I had 3 children under the age of 10. That was probably not right.
Yeah, yeah. A bit too much.
A wee bit too much. So it gave me the other thing. I think you're fearful because you don't know your value to your organisation to tell them the truth. So when I was going through, I get sent to this assessment centre to make sure I was okay and fit to return to work. And this doctor saw me, and he said, what would you like to do? And I said, do you know what I'd like to do? I've got a lot of knowledge. I'd like to go back and train people that do it 4 days a week. I said, but I know they won't probably do it because they don't have that role, so they won't allow me to do it. But they did, and that was
Wow.
fantastic.
Hmm.
Then it gave me a lot of confidence and made me feel really valued going back into that environment again where it's very stressful and high paced to help deal with it because I'd been out the other end and I could spot it in people now and stop them and slow them down or they'd end up like me burnt out and having an accident.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that we talk about a lot as well. It's that buzz phrase of work-life balance.
Yeah, balance. Yeah.
And if if you're not getting that right, then obviously things like that happen, which are not ideal.
No idea.
Basically.
It's interestingly for me doing that life coaching course because I was doing part of it in hospital. You had to then coach someone, business coach them. It was through the Institute of Leadership and Management because I wasn't physically able to do that till later on. At that point, I met a guy in the course who was studying hypnotherapy. This is an interesting fact. I'm also a qualified hypnotherapist
Okay.
because he was just so interesting about the power of your mind, the power
Yeah.
of positive thinking, about you control your life outcomes and how you can't always control everything that happens to you, but you can certainly control how you react to it. So I did like a 2-year course in hypnotherapy. So I'm still a qualified hypnotherapist. I do help various charities with any cases that they've got because it makes me feel better as well as the person. I don't, it's not a one-way thing. It's like rapport building. As much as I'm giving my time, when you're giving someone good advice and good hypnotherapy, it's like you listen to their words and you think, gosh, I should be doing that. Because
Hmm.
sometimes you forget, oh, that's really good. Why don't I do
Isn't
that?
it funny? You give advice to other people. I mean, I've been doing the same thing in my work as well. You kind of go, you need to do this, and I'm like, yeah, Greg, that's what you need to do. And
Yeah.
it can be blindingly obvious because you're telling people, but then it's actually doing it yourself. That really makes a difference. I was talking to somebody recently about this, that lived experience. It
Mm.
makes it's all the difference. Then you're bringing your experience to bear on a certain situation, and rather than just observing necessarily what's happening to other people, then you're able to bring your own experience to it, and I think that makes a huge difference.
I think it does. I think also it makes you a much more humble person, a much more grateful person that we have been gifted comfortable homes, food on the table, all those things that we take for granted that other people don't have. And we are so blessed to have good health, especially at this, horrible time and challenging time for everybody. And that's something that I've been thinking about in my role at Pitman as well, about how we need to change as a company, apart from doing training and all the usual stuff that we need to be doing. But because in the last 2 years before I rejoined Pitman, I'm going to be introducing mental health training into Pitman, both our own staff and to the wider public, because I think when we get out of this, there'll be a huge recognition of the impact that loneliness has on what I call people who are 30 and still single. The demographic there is huge, especially, I know it's very cliche, but especially in men. They really struggle with mental health, but equally a lot of women, because of this lockdown in that age group from 25 upwards, are really struggling with the loneliness aspect. And then also thinking about our social responsibility for our more senior people who have lived on their own for, say, 20 years and only see somebody once a week. I mean, you must have a remarkable willpower and resilience to sort of still want to carry on and find things that you really want to still enjoy. And that, I mean, I think they say it's a privilege to get old.
Yes.
It really is. And we should be, recognizing that and praising these people that do it so well and with good heart. Not be grumpy.
No, definitely. That's it's such a common theme. Obviously, we're all talking about these issues that we're all going through just now, and I was talking with a business friend of mine about this just this morning. We're talking about how the real issue is going to be when we all reconnect, whenever we're coming together. I mean, everybody's experience is not going to be the same. So there's going to be some people who are relieved to be back in the arms of the organization with everybody there, and there's going to be other people who are like, you know what,
I actually quite enjoyed that.
that actually worked for me, and it's that not wanting to maybe do the commute to, say if you're in Glasgow, not having to travel to Edinburgh 3 days a week, when really you could probably do that in one, and just the rest of the time.
That's a brilliant example, and I actually do think it has, and it will redefine how we work and when we work. Because working from home, I found myself starting much earlier, going out a walk, having a bigger break during the day sometimes, and sometimes not, and working much later. But I don't feel I'm putting more hours in, but to me it's not, because it's more productive hours, because I'm getting a proper break, I'm getting fresh air. It's just a different way of working. And because I work in Edinburgh and Glasgow, that's a great scenario for me. There's no need to be physically sitting there unless customers, our corporate clients requested it. Other than that, I could be doing this. This is far more comfortable as well. I guess it's as long as they are comfortable, but I think we'll be able to look at people's jobs and say, well, do they need to be at an office to do that? Would it be better?
Yeah.
And is it their choice? Can we be more flexible?
I think the thing is as well is that, I mean, like you're saying about your day, I mean, it's structured, but in a maybe a looser way, or just in a slightly different way. I mean, I know that an awful lot of the sort of music activities that I do would normally occur in the evening, and I have clients that they do have day jobs, but they make music whenever outside business hours. So, for example, last night I had a session with somebody, and it was a 4-hour Zoom call from 7 until 11. Doing
what did you do?
Doing a video edit and literally sharing the screen and then back and forth. And he's effectively like looking over my shoulder and sort of saying, "Oh, can you do that? Can you do that?" Right. So being able to do stuff like that's been phenomenal, because I mean he lives on the other side of Stirling, and but being able to continue that. But yeah, but in terms of structuring the day, I know that I'm going to be working in really late into the evening then, so try and have a more restful kind of start to the day and not be quite so insane. But sorry, Karen.
I don't know how you found it, but I've actually been pleasantly surprised. I've actually found it really good. I miss my colleagues, and I will look forward to seeing them. But I've equally enjoyed the challenge of working this way. Because one of the things we did with the team in Glasgow and Edinburgh, the first thing we did, actually, the first exercise, we organised virtual training on teamwork. Because one of the challenges at Pitman, because we're a franchisee business, is there's numbers of systems that I can't see and other parts of my colleagues can see. So I'm relying on them to do certain things in a timely manner for me to perform my job, and vice versa.
Right.
So the first thing I did was get one of our tutors to in and do an exercise on what that's going to look like. What is working more effective as a team? Because we are a great team. We're a brilliant team when we're face to face. But what's that going to look like today, now, so that we can provide a good service for our students? And that was brilliant, because that, first of all, got all the guys used to using Zoom, breakout rooms, whiteboards, and how the customers. So it was all about understanding that. And I think now we've went full circle. I think, no, we're all going to be okay. I mean, we check in with each other. We have 4 o'clock in the afternoon every Friday. We have drinks.
I was just going to say, there's a lot of businesses that are doing that. I've been talking to quite a few, and we've sort of had facilitate a few things like this. Just sort of suggest, because there's some people who don't, obviously, because that's your business as people, and you're going to think about it that way. There's other businesses that are a bit more reticent about doing things online, but also not thinking about the team dynamic so much. So, but doing things like that, where there's that weekly team meeting or just people coming together, it helps that the whole notion that you're part of something bigger, excuse me, rather than just being siloed, it's isolated and you're working, doing your own thing, and as if it doesn't matter. But you're part of the larger organization.
I found out some fascinating things about the team, people I work with that I never knew, because we did the two truths and a lie, and one of the truths that came out for one of the people I work with is that she loves dental anesthesia, which it's just bizarre. I was like, how can you love that? What she does. So
fine, hey, whatever works for you. Yeah, weird.
That's going on her file.
Yes. Make a note. Might be a serial killer. Right. Okay.
If she gets that stabber.
Yes. Jeez, bizarre. So you're doing that kind of weekly thing. Is that a normal kind of, before the apocalypse, is that the kind of thing that would happen where you're going to have that regular checking in with everybody?
Yeah, but I think what used to happen is we'd do, if I happened to be in Glasgow, we'd go, oh, we stop at 4:30, let's go for drinks. But obviously I can't be in both places at once. So what's been nice about this situation is Glasgow and Edinburgh people are getting together at Zoom, 4 o'clock, drinks, we're all discussing what's going on in the week, how things have been. But actually it's more fun. It's really not business focused, I'll be totally honest. It's just fun. It's hilarious. At Easter, we all had on different Easter bonnets. There was some crazy outfits going on, and we've had themes Fridays. Also, I phone them all anyway. If I don't touch base on Monday or the next day, I'll speak to everybody just to make sure, because we have had some people that are emotional about it, that can't understand why they're emotional. I don't know. I know it's a very glib statement to say, but it is okay to be okay, as long as you keep talking, as long as you've got people that are supporting you and understanding you and going to help you through it and care, genuinely care and want to listen to you. So that's been a bit of an eye opener for me, but a kind of good thing, because I've got to know the Edinburgh people much better, because I know the Glasgow really well, but I now know the Edinburgh people very, very well.
I think the thing is as well is that we're all going to have good days and bad days. I know myself that whenever I'm super busy and really occupied, then I'm fine. And then whenever you're not, you spend too much time inside your head and you get a bit kind of like antsy.
Overthinking.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not I'm kind of panicking about the health side of things, really, but there is that underlying low-level anxiety that
Yeah.
is there, that everybody's feeling, and obviously over a period of time, you're going to be getting tired quicker because it's there. Whether you're consciously
Yeah.
thinking about it, you're still under lock and key, effectively not able to
Yeah.
go about your
I mean,
daily life
my,
in the way we normally do.
yeah, I had a real scare because my mum's 84. She weighs less than 6 stone, and she had COVID and she was in hospital for 12 days. So
Wow.
if you looked at this, and she's got loads of things wrong with her, she would be somebody who would come out in a box, you would think. But she hasn't. She's all clear. She's home. And I wasn't emotional during that 12 days because my mindset was, I'm coping with this. It's going to be okay. And then when it was not okay, that's when I had a bit of a bubble
Yeah.
because suddenly it was relief maybe.
Hmm.
But I didn't realise that I'd even felt quite as badly about, oh, what if that hadn't been, because I hadn't allowed my mind to even wander there.
Yeah.
But after she came out of hospital, that's when it went there, and I thought, because she's very, very frail, but she's actually, her tongue's as sharp as anything.
Yes.
she's
Okay.
she's ordering me about. It's like, get that grass cut. That's a disgrace. Why didn't you do that? So it's great to have her out and everything, but I did go through that, as you say, that underlying concern that we're not out of the woods yet.
Yeah.
And I'm not being complacent about it
Sure.
or minimising it because it's scary, but I think we all need to learn to support each other and manage ourselves through it.
And what about your kids? How are they coping?
Well, they're great because they're all in different parts of Glasgow, so I don't need to feed them.
Oh, right. Okay. Right. So
So
they're not like at home with
no,
you.
no. Sarah lives with her boyfriend in Paisley, and Jenna is in Ayrshire, and Emma is in Edinburgh. So
Okay. So it's peace and quiet for you. That's the main thing.
yeah.
Right.
The only person I don't know if my husband and I are going to kill who's going to kill each other first. I don't know which one.
I think that's happening a lot. To be honest with you.
I shouldn't joke about that because I know there has been a serious issue of domestic violence, but it is true that if ever there's a time to be strained relationship, it's one that you've got to learn in these circumstances to listen more and talk less.
Yes. Yeah.
For me, it's a challenge.
I'm not saying anything. Okay. Right. So let's lighten the mood somewhat.
Yes.
Under normal circumstances, and this can be just in your daily life and work. What part does music play in your life? Do you have like a set playlist to get up to in the morning, or that kind of thing?
That's a huge. I'm going to sound like some sort of tree hugger now. Right, here
okay.
goes. I have like that sounds so cheesy. I'll say it anyway. I have like a 10-minute meditation thing. And it can either be positive affirmations, which a lot of them are very Americanized, and you want to go, oh, shut up.
It is that whole kind of positive affirmations is very American, yeah.
Yeah. So I tend to listen to a British form of that, which is a bit more mellowed down, a bit more drawn back from it. I would get up, take my dog a walk. What was the rest of the question? Asked me. Sorry, I forgot.
Do you have like a set playlist or anything like that? Any particular music?
No, but I do funny things like I love classical music to get ready for a night out to try and look pretty too.
Nice. Okay. Right.
And that kind of surprises people. I love dance music. I love Latin American music.
Right.
I do have on my iPhone a shuffle list, but you'll hear classical music, reggae, even a bit of country now. And I used to hate country, but that's sneaking in there. I love rock and roll. I love My Chemical Romance. So lots of stuff that.
I was listening to them last week, actually. I'd heard it somewhere. The Black Parade. I heard it somewhere. So I dug out that record and I started listening to a few of those songs again. It's been a while since I've heard it.
They're definitely belters.
So from that period, that was around the same time as I got into Jared Leto's group, 30 Seconds to Mars.
Oh yeah, I'm a big fan of him. Not because of his looks, honest.
No, no, not at all. Um,
Talented actor as well.
he's actually an extremely nauseatingly talented guy.
Yes.
But it was funny because I had tickets to go and see him. I'd seen him um, once, or I think I'd seen him once by this stage, but and I got tickets to see him again. And a friend of mine couldn't come, and my wife was like, "Oh, no, don't want to go and see that." And then on the day, she was like, "Oh, I'll come along." And literally within the first 5 minutes, she turned to me and she said, "I am coming with you every time he's in town. That this is amazing." So, and then the next time we went to see him, she was singing all songs. Like she was the biggest fan. But
And she knows it. She's
yeah,
wearing it now. She owns
exactly.
it.
But
I loved it. I love My Chemical Romance because it reminds me of a time when my daughter was really embarrassed, but she couldn't afford to go and see them, and they were playing at the SEC.
right.
So the mum got to go, and I'm embarrassed to say this, but I went straight from work. So I had on a suit, and she was in the black eyeliner, and she's normally got blonde hair, but she dyed it black, and she had pale makeup on, and she went straight into this mosh pit and left me.
Ah, okay. Not ideal.
But I stood up the back and was,
Hmm.
and they came on in this hospital bed, and he comes from some part of New York, some
Oh,
particular he's going, and he was
can't
saying
remember.
something like, well, Glasgow, you're just like, Glasgow, you're just so much like New York City, and the whole place was jumping. It was
Hmm.
just fantastic. I wasn't in that mosh pit. I was sweating. Sorry, I
Hmm.
was glowing. It was
Yes.
so warm.
Uh-huh. Of
And my
course.
and my daughter loved it, and she thought I was okay then because I took her
Vaguely cool. Yeah.
vaguely.
For
Although
5 minutes.
seemingly, if you say cool, you're not cool because I don't know what word you're going to
I've
use,
no idea.
but
But then if you're, of a certain age and you attempt to say what the kids are saying, you just look ridiculous. So
I know.
yeah, I don't think I'm even going to attempt to. Um,
No.
so this is a question that I ask absolutely everybody, and it'll freak you out if you're not prepared for it. Just warning you in advance.
Not me worrying me now.
No, it's pretty heavy. But many, many years from now, when you are no
Mm.
longer with us, what would you like your legacy to be? Would people say something particular about you, or yeah, and this can be a personal thing or a professional thing.
Oh, very light-hearted. I would say I'd love people to say she made me smile. She made me giggle. Because I think if you can bring joy to people, that's the greatest gift you can give them because so many other people can knock you down for things
Mm-hmm.
or criticize. I think my whole life I am definitely a half full type of person. I can't cope with being the other way. I really mean that. I cannot cope being bleak. And I find it hard to get on with people who are really negative because I constantly want to change that mindset because it upsets me that people would be that unhappy. It's like people that use really bad language or poor language to themselves and very negative self-talk. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's so sad because they're just repeating all this negativity in their head. And I find that really hard. So I'd like to say she was a good laugh on her headstone. She made me laugh. I know that's very light,
Yeah, it's
but
not real. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, it's you're talking about being a positive influence in people's lives and not miserable. That's
mm,
yeah, that's pretty good. I wouldn't be complaining about that.
I
Um,
think the other attribute, if you'd ask my kids that, she'd say, they would say collectively that I'm the most annoyingly calm person in a crisis. Like you can tell me anything and you'll probably not get the reaction you expect because I'm keeping really calm for everyone. And because I think our family, my kids are so creative and they're very noisy, they will come, they seek me out. To give you an example of what my life was like when the kids were at home, every time I get home, I think, right, bath, that'll be my quiet time. I'll get the candles on, get the Joe Malone in the bath, get some nice music. And one of them would come in and sit in the toilet seat and talk to you.
mhm,
And I used to go, why are you here? This is my time. And they
mhm.
say, but mum, it's the only time you're actually going to concentrate on me. So you never got really any. you time, because they realised at that time I wanted, they were like, nah, there's three of us, I'm nipping in just now and having a wee word with her. So I still love my baths, by the way. I'm a big bath fan.
Well, I
Showers
mean,
are brilliant.
yeah, you've got to set aside that, like you say, you've got to set aside that me time, that relaxation time.
Mm.
You can't just be everything to everybody else, can you?
Yeah, and I think there's a temptation, and this is very sexy to say this as a mum. I know a lot of I'm not a very homely mum, as in I don't make curtains, I'm not a good baker, and I'm not a good cook. But my unconditional thing about loving them, they absolutely know. Even though I might not have baked them a cake, they
Hmm.
know that I love them. And I think that's a good attribute to have.
Caroline, thank you very much indeed for joining me today.
Thank you.
And stay safe and well. And I shall talk to you soon.
It's been a real pleasure. Great talking to you. Bye.
Alrighty. Bye.